Well, welcome back to another edition of the I'm Always Right Sports Podcast. I'm your host, as always, the Mouth of Michigan, Rob Medeka. With me, as always, my co-host, the Merc Zone, Mike Merkel.
I'm here.
And, of course, missing in action once again, the scrub of the team,
The Whale Man.
The Whale Man.
Yeah.
Kyle Budzinowski, he's out of here. Where is he? Is he in Chicago again? Is he in Miami
he
today?
He has family over.
Oh, he's got a family. Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's got extended family over.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's full of crap.
Yeah.
I see right through him. I see right through you, Kyle, if you're listening to this right now. Mike, we got a lot to go over this week. We're going to be talking Lions. There's a lot of talk about ownership, about who's staying, who's going as far as the Detroit Lions go. We haven't done a lot of Lions over the past couple weeks because it's been a dumpster fire ever since Stafford went down. Mm-hmm. They're like 0-7 since he went down, so there's really no point in talking about them. They're out of the playoff hunt by far. They're going to finish 4th in the NFC North. A lot of expectations pretty much exploded after the first 6-7 weeks of this year. But we're going to talk about the Detroit Lions today. Matt Patricia, Bob Quinn coming back. We're going to talk about ownership as well. And we're going to kind of dispel some notions that maybe some Lions fans have. In the second half of the show, Mike, we're going to talk about your rankings as far as the NFL playoff contenders. We did this a couple weeks ago where we talked about who we thought had a legitimate chance at winning the Super Bowl. But now we're going to kind of rank them. Now that we've kind of seen some shuffling and everything has kind of worked itself out, who we really think is going to be our Super Bowl matchup going in. And then we're also going to talk some basketball news, as one of the bigger weekends in the year for the NBA is obviously Christmas week. We're going to have some big playoff type matchups and how important those are to kind of get a litmus test as where those teams are at, as well as a Pistons check-in. And then we're going to end the show with some AEW talk once again for you wrestling fans. Stay tuned to the end of the show. We're going to talk AEW and maybe their decline / some of the criticism that they're facing, whether it's warranted or not. We have a lot to go over, Mike. Let's start off by doing what we do best, talking Detroit Lions football. Biggest news coming out of Allen Park here. We got a letter from ownership to the season ticket holders, which I am a season ticket holder, is that, unfortunately, my family has been for, 20 years, I feel like. But you get the letter to the fans, basically saying that Bob Quinn and Matt Patricia coming back. Patricia's coming back for year 3 after this debacle of a season. As far as fans go, it was kind of a 50-50 split. If you ask one person, they're like, okay, you got to give them 3 years. Other people, I know guys like Dan Orlovsky, Chris Spielman are like, you got to give them 3. If you can't you got to give them 3. Because if you go and you replace them now, what did you learn, right? You're just starting all over again for no reason. So you got to give it a 3rd year. Really let this see if this is actually going to take hold or not. And then you have the other half of the fan base, though, the more, I would say, reactionary fan base to some extent, where they go, no, it's over. We're supposed to be a playoff team. 9-7 wasn't good enough. We have people calling for Caldwell to come back, and we're going to talk about that as well. But, Mike, just give me your opinion on your thoughts on Patricia and Bob Quinn coming back. We're going to have a top 5 pick more than likely in the season. We're going to talk draft stuff once we know officially where the Lions are drafting, so stay tuned for that in a couple weeks. But with another Merc Zone mock draft corner, that was one of my favorite segments that we've ever done on the show. But as far as your take on Patricia and Quinn coming back, year 3 together, this is Bob's 5th year. How are you feeling about that? Everything staying the same. There's going to be major staff changes for Patricia on defense especially, but them specifically coming back.
Yeah, I mean, there are problems with them coming back, but I'm always in the camp of give them 3 years.
Yeah.
I think when the Browns, you go 0-16 and you can bring a coach back and you're going to give them 3 years, you can give this team 3 years.
Right.
But I don't want to hear excuses of why you're bringing them back for a 3rd year kind of thing, where you go, well, we had injuries, and I go, okay, so does the Steelers, and they're about to be in the playoffs with a 3rd-string quarterback and no wide receivers and no running backs.
Right.
So I don't really want to hear that you just can't get it going.
Right.
You should be able to get it going.
Right.
So this 3rd year is definitely the make or break year.
Now,
but yeah, get a 3rd chance.
Right, and let's talk about that too, because you're dead on, right? We've talked about this before off air. We were like, it has to happen.
Yeah.
It has to happen. But in their case, right, I think Lions ownership even said they expect to be a playoff contender. I know some people took this, they just want to be a contender. They don't want to actually make the playoffs. There has to be wiggle room in that. You know what I mean? Where if something happens where they're in the playoff hunt or they're in the playoff position and then all of a sudden Stafford goes down and then they lose in a weird, whatever the case may be, right? I think what ownership is trying to say, and we're going to talk ownership here in a few minutes, is that they understand the frustration from the fans, and they understand that this can't happen again, and they also understand that if next year they rebound and say they go 10-6 and they're there, then okay, right? Then maybe we have a foundation of something that they can build upon for years to come. If it doesn't happen, though, then they understand that, listen, then we have to tear it down.
Yeah.
But I think it's a smart move to at least let the process happen. If Patricia's biggest thing is that we're building a foundation, we're building a foundation, we're going to get there, okay, you've had 2 years now to get it done. And now is the time to see that foundation building be there, so when year 3 happens, we're ready to rock and roll. You're going to have a top 5 pick, more than likely, going into this draft. Hopefully, if everything goes right, you're the 2nd overall pick and you draft Chase Young and make everybody happy. But point being is that you're going to have a top 5 pick. You have tons of draft capital. You know what I mean? You're not missing 2nd, 3rd round picks or anything like that. You're going to have at least your standard, few picks there. You got an additional 5, I think, with the Diggs trade. So you're going to have some ammunition to do some things. You're going to have $40 million in cap space, and you're going to be able to see this vision throughout. Whether that means there's some reactionary moves where they're going to go spend some money in the offseason, absolutely. Are they going to be aggressive in their drafting? Absolutely, right? They may not be picking the safe, solid pick. They're going to go with best athlete out there. You know what I mean? And we may see those things to make an immediate impact. But if Lions fans are so eager to win, I expect them, and I think I would speak for you as well, where this is the year, right? Next year will be the year where it's all or nothing, basically. Yeah. Do you think that if they make the playoffs but lose, do you think they keep their job? It's strictly the playoff line, or do you think that internally, at least, they've drawn a line where they said, yeah, we want to win, but no, we want the division, or we want a playoff win, or do you think that it's just get us to the playoffs, that gets people off of the train of getting you fired, and then after that, it steps towards that.
See, I think they need the playoff win, but where they're at, I think it's an astronomical task to get the win from off of this year. Absolutely. But I do think, because then, if you just get to the playoffs and lose, and it's been 3 years, what's the difference between you and Caldwell?
Right.
Because he got us to the playoffs twice, and he couldn't get us over the hump. You're supposed to keep us there and get over the hump, but you regress the team.
Right.
So I think the expectation should be go win. You don't even have to win the division. If you're a 6 seed and can upset the 3 seed or something, that's fine too.
Win a playoff game.
Yeah, win the playoff game.
Right.
I think that should be the expectation. Right. I think anything less is, well, then why'd you fire Caldwell if he can't get it done either?
And let's talk about Caldwell for a second, because there is a small vocal contingent among Lions fans that are clamoring they want Jim Caldwell back. Do you agree that Jim Caldwell should be the head coach of the Detroit Lions?
I wouldn't be opposed to it, but I'm not like. I think if this doesn't work, I think you could bring him back.
I ain't gonna bring him back. He ain't coming back.
Well, he won't come back. Yeah. But like, if the option came, I would say, why not bring him back?
Right.
He didn't do anything like bad.
Yeah.
There was no bad
I would say this to the people who want Caldwell back. I will say 2 things. Number 1, he's not coaching anywhere now. He's in Miami. He's an assistant coach. Right. He's just kind of there, right? That's the first thing I will say. So clearly, something about him was not good enough to be a head coach for another football team. I mean, Zach Taylor for Cincinnati is like 22 years old, and he's the head coach of the freaking team. You mean tell me they couldn't hire Caldwell, they'd be better than 1-14 or whatever the hell they're at right now?
Oh, that's bad.
They're bad, no doubt, right? But my point being, right? Jim Caldwell is a good football coach. He's not a great football coach. And this is going to go to our ownership talk a little bit too, where it's not that Jim Caldwell necessarily did anything his game management is egregious, let's be clear. But at the same time, it was the big moments and the inability to get you, like you said, Mike, over the hump, which is what Patricia was brought in to do, right? Absolutely, right? So I think that people are looking at it from, well, we went 9-7, we went 11, we did all these things, and that's great. But if your ownership and if you are somebody who is now trying to build upon that, then that should not be good enough for you. And I think people need to differentiate from saying all we want is a playoff win and we'll be happy, to what the organization is saying is, no, we understand that we've been bad and we're trying to turn it around, but the goal is not to win a playoff win and then lose again for the next 25 years. The goal is to build something sustainable, hopefully, to then win a championship. That is the goal of ownership. What it hasn't happened. I'm not defending the moves, what they've done to make it happen. I'm just saying that I think people need to look at it in a little bit bigger format and say they're not doing these things just strictly to win games for one season. They're trying to do something that lasts a long time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You want a 5 to 8 year window where it's like, okay, we got a chance to do it. You know what I mean? And then you rebuild and you go accordingly, right? Like right now, right, theoretically could have been their window if they wanted to, right? It hasn't gone out that way, and they took the risk to do so. But the point being is that Caldwell got us to level here, and they brought in Matt Patricia, Bob Quinn's guy, to take us to here. Whether that happens or not remains to be seen, but that was the goal in releasing Caldwell. So I think people need to understand why the move was made. Let's talk now about ownership a little bit here, because there's a vocal majority, I would say now, honestly, of people who are clamoring, and they've done this forever. And this is coming from the older part of the fan base, I would say, the people who maybe watched the Lions for 30 years, and every time you say something nice about them, they'll break your heart anyway, and blah, 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 and I get it. Where they're very, very vocal about selling the team. They want the Fords to sell them. They're not going to win as long as Fords are the owners. Thoughts on, do you want the Fords to sell the team? Do you think that would be a major step, because that's what it would be? Changing ownership's a major deal for any franchise. Do you think that would be a major step in all of a sudden turning this thing around, like basically changing owners and then firing everybody and restarting?
See, I don't think it would make that big of a difference, because I think unless you're Robert Kraft or Jerry Jones, the owners aren't that deep into the football operation part of it. And so you look at it, and I think you just put the blame on the GM and the coach, because Martha Ford's just sitting there going, I'm paying you to do this. Right. Like, I'm paying you to do your job well. Hopefully, I just want to see more than 3 wins in a 16-game season. Yeah. That's what they're hoping for as the owners, unless you're Jerry Jones or Robert Kraft, in which case you're more into the football discussion of it. Right. So I don't think, for the Lions case in specific, I don't think selling the team would make any difference, because you can get some other billionaire who will do the exact same thing, and it doesn't really make a difference.
Right, and that's right, and that's it. I think you're approaching it from the top down mentality. If you're the owner, you're worried about, okay, how are we doing in revenue? How is the, you know what I mean? And I think they put a great precedent in Rod Wood in place, where Rod Wood, they've upgraded the jerseys, right? Whether you like the uniforms or not, they're new, right? New uniform, a little bit modified logo. The field looks nicer. They've made some modifications to Ford Field. That's all, more Rod Wood stuff. Now, on the other side, right, let's get this out there, because I think some Lions fans forget about what happened here when they brought in Bob Quinn. This hire, while made by the Fords, was not made by the Ford family. They went to the NFL. The NFL lent them Ernie Accorsi, who was a respected NFL executive and GM. He's the guy who's known for pulling off the John Elway trade back in I guess it was the 70s or 80s, where John Elway didn't want to go to the Colts. He pulled off that trade. He was the GM for the Giants that drafted Eli Manning. Or he was able to swing the trade for Eli Manning in exchange for Phillip Rivers. He was the guy who kind of built that Giants team on the ground level before they won the Super Bowl. So he has a lot of experience in the league. And Ernie Accorsi was the guy who, in collaboration with the Lions, was the one who hired Bob Quinn. He's the one who recommended, said, this could be your guy, basically, and they went with that. So let's put that out there, number one. And number two, I don't think people are really understanding that as an owner, yes, I understand that at the end of the day, all blame falls on leadership, no doubt about it. But in this case, I think people think that the Fords are just sitting up there in the press box, just not given one hoot or another, whether or not they win or lose. I mean, it's very clear when Martha took over the team that she wasn't happy, right? They're 1-7. She fired Mayhew. She fired Tom Luan, right? Immediately, basically. Yeah. And I really think that people need to understand that it's not about the ownership. Are we winning? No, they're not. And they need to start, absolutely. But selling the team, that doesn't do anything for you. If anything, all it does is kick that can down the road even further, because all you're doing is you're restarting once again, which goes back to our Patricia Quinn conversation where we say, the more you change and the more upheaval you have consistently throughout your organization, the longer it takes to win. All the teams that are successful in this league, look at all of them, right? Mm-hmm. Seattle, Pete Carroll's been there, 10 years, it feels like, right? John Schneider's been there a long time. Kansas City, Andy Reid's been there quite a few years now, right? New England, same thing, right? The Packers just went through an upheaval, right? We don't know what they are, but you have certain teams that have always been, they've had the same GM for 15 years. They've had the same head coach, or a small subset of head coaches, right? Mm-hmm. Dallas is probably the one team that hasn't had that success in a long time, and they've had the same coach for forever and same GM. But point being is that the more change that happens, the less time you get to build a foundation and get to believe in what you're trying to build, right? It's not always as easy as, okay, we got a new guy in here and we're just going to roll. That was how it was sold to us, but I don't think that's necessarily the right answer, right? I don't think we don't want this to be a quick 1-year flame out, and you're seeing that, right, in Los Angeles with the Rams, where they're a 500 football team now, and they've got a hell of a lot of money allocated to their quarterback. People want to talk about Stafford's contract. Go look at Jared Goff's contract. To Todd Gurley, go look at that deal, right? Certain things, right, where it was like, we're in a win now mode, and they are now going to suffer because of it. I'm not saying that they're the perfect owners. I'm not saying this organization has done everything in its power to win, and they need to start winning immediately. But to say that selling the team is going to solve our problems is a fallacy. So I think people need to kind of wrap their brains around that a little bit. I'm very excited, Mike, to be talking in a couple weeks once we know the Lions' official draft position. Hopefully, if everything goes right, they can just lose out and then we just get the top pick as close as we can, basically. Is there any way that if they get the number 2 pick, they don't draft Chase Young? If he comes out?
Not really.
No.
I don't think there's much you can do around it. I will say that there's big talks that he won't come out this year, that he really wants to play Ohio State one more year.
Yeah.
So, especially if they don't win the championship, like he wants the college national championship. So I think that would scare me, that you're kind of doing all of this, and if Chase Young's not there, it's kind of like, who do you get kind of thing.
Right.
So that would,
and we'll dive into
it more time.
Yeah.
But I don't think there's any way you can go around not getting Chase Young unless, and this is a big if, another defense end comes in the market that you have $40 million in cap that you can go spend all of that on.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun offseason. I really do. Last year we had a lot of fun talking about it, so if you're a Lions fan, don't even watch these games. Don't watch it. It's brutal. I went to the Tampa Bay game last week. I stayed for a quarter and a half and I left. I couldn't do it. Yeah. Don't watch these games. Just look toward the future and understand that this next year, it's either we're going to be in the hunt at the end, where we're going to be talking about the Lions every single week on this show, where it goes, okay, we're 8-5 or whatever the case is, or if we're 5-8, Tricia just got fired. Yeah. Those are really your two options right now. So as a Lions fan, you should be nervous, excited, but also understand that the line has been drawn in the sand. So it's either win or go find another job. It's really that simple, and be prepared for both of those as we come along. All right, after the break, we're going to talk some more NFL action. We're going to talk Mike's rankings. He is the king of 1 through 30, I feel like sometimes. He's going to rank them for us. He's going to tell us who do you think has got the best shot at it, and who is barely holding on by a thread. And then we're going to talk NBA action on Christmas Day. It's one of, it's a holiday tradition for a lot of families. And then we're also going to talk AEW at the very tail end of the show. After the break, stick around. And welcome back to part 2 of episode 56 of the I'm Always Right Sports Podcast. All right, Mike, let's talk NFL power rankings here for just a bit. Playoff season, is right around the corner. Yeah. I'm excited.
It's like right there.
It's right there. It's literally right there. Like, you guys don't even see it on camera. The NFL playoff guy is looking right at us right now. It's crazy. It's right here. We've talked about it now. We did our family pick-em earlier in the year at our birthday parties. Because we're like 70s apart. So let's go through here, Mike. I know you kind of compiled a list of basically everybody who's in the playoffs, right? Or, they're right there fighting for it, like Cowboys, Eagles. We'll explain as we go. But basically, these are the rankings, and let us know in the comments or give us a shout out, IARBroadcastmedia@gmail.com. Hit us up on our website and our contact page. I'm always right PC.com. Let us know what you think about these rankings. Mike, he is the king. I like to call him the king of rankings sometimes. I'm gonna get you a shirt.
Sure,
King of rank. King of rank.
King of rank. I can be the king of rank.
There you go. Let's go right into it and let's go. Let's start bottom top. Let's start bottom top.
So that's how I was expecting to go.
Cliffhanger.
You don't know who the best team is, so I tell you who it is. All right, so we got I compiled a list of 13 teams. That are about there.
Okay.
About 12 or 11 of them have clinched already.
Yep.
There's a fight between the Steelers and Titans for the 6th seed in the AFC, and the Eagles-Cowboys play later today on this Sunday, but we won't know who really wins, so I kind of put them together.
Yeah,
because they're...
For sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
So at the bottom of my list, I have the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Yeah.
At 13, they're there, but they're the worst of.
I'm gonna give Mike Tomlin a hell of a lot of credit, though. The fact that this team is even competing right now goes to show you. But once again, it goes back to part 1 of the show, right, where I said the foundation. Everybody was looking to fire Mike Tomlin last year, and he has banded this team together on a 3rd, 4th string quarterback. He's got guys getting punched and getting hit and helmets thrown at him and every other thing, and yet they're still producing and they're in the hunt at the end of it. Extremely, extremely impressive by Mike Tomlin.
Yeah, but they're the weakest of the
absolutely. Yeah, they're not a Super Bowl contender, but the fact that we're even talking about them right now is extremely impressive.
Number 12, I have the Tennessee Titans. I like what they're doing offensively. Derrick Henry's been a beast.
Yes.
But when you have to go up against possibility teams like Kansas City, New England, Houston.
In those places.
It's going to be a tough road to get up.
No matter how good Ryan Tannehill's playing, he's still Ryan Tannehill at the end of the day.
So at number 11, I have the Eagles/Cowboys. They're the worst team in the NFC for me. I think anybody that they match up with in the NFC, I think they lose to. Preferably probably the Seahawks or the Niners is probably who they will get. And I think the Eagles secondary is too banged up and they have no receivers. And Cowboys just too inconsistent.
Absolutely. Obviously, as Detroit fans, right, we're really hoping that Dallas doesn't win.
Yes.
But either way, though, I think there's too much turmoil going on right now with either team. I think that Dallas is a Super Bowl roster with poor coaching and inability. And honestly, you're going to see bad cap management coming pretty soon. I think Jerry's feeling it a little bit. They're going to have a new head coach next year. That's a situation, funny enough that we talk about Mike Tomlin, where they stuck with a coach too long without enough results. So it's a little bit of inverse there. But I agree with you. I think I'm going to say the Eagles get it done because the Cowboys pull cowboy things.
That's cool.
And
it is in Philly, so it is interesting for that game.
One of those things where like Carson Wentz goes nuts or a random wide receiver no one's ever heard of shreds the Cowboys.
Yeah. Number 10, I have the Buffalo Bills. Same thing. I think their defense is super elite. I think they're very strong there. Offensively, I don't trust Josh Allen with the ball against a Deshaun Watson Houston team where I don't know if you can get that ball there, and I just think they're going to get outplayed.
I think Buffalo's hard because I don't necessarily disagree with the ranking. Maybe a slot or two higher depending on who your 9 and 8 are. But they're going to be a tough out though. They play phenomenal defense. They really do. Josh Allen's come a long way. I was not a Josh Allen guy coming out of the draft at all. But Sean McDermott deserves hell of a lot of credit. The fact they possibly could go 11-5 this year. That is extremely, extremely impressive for them. They 1 win away from yesterday winning a division championship. Like I said, if they're going into harsh weather, they go into New England, going to Kansas City. I don't know if they win those games, but they're going to play up.
No, they will play up
for sure. For sure. Yeah, continue.
Number 9, I got the Houston Texans right above them. Yep. I just think Deshaun Watson just gives them that little bit of elevation, but I still think they're lower in the tiers than the AFC teams.
They're banged up a little bit, and 2, I don't think that I just don't think they're there.
No.
Yet.
Well, trading Jadeveon Clowney and then losing J.J. Watt, that's like your pass rush.
Yep.
So now you don't really have the defense.
And they made some trades, Laramie Tunsil, like Kenny Stills. They have some pieces offensively, but on the defensive side, I felt like they're a little bit lacking. They had Bradley Roby. Okay, cool. They lost Kareem Jackson to the free agents market last year. There's just some pieces there where it's just they're good, but they're not great. You know what I mean? They're just a few pieces away from being great.
Yeah. That's the next couple.
For sure.
Number 8, I got the Vikings.
Yeah, that's
I think Kirk Cousins is probably the reason, if they do lose, that you're going to look to and go, that was probably why you lost.
Yeah.
You have a great running game, you have pretty good receivers, and your defense is pretty elite. But I think that's just like there's that one hole.
Right.
And it's a big hole because your quarterback.
Right. But I mean,
to
to Kirk's credit, he's played phenomenal this year. It's the best year of his career statistically, right? They're able to, but it's all predicated upon the run, though. Their play action pass is what's making it done for him. You know what I mean? Dalvin Cook being injured or limited is going to hinder them. So much. I can't even tell you. I mean, he's one of the best running backs in the league. I would agree with that. That they're a team that could shock somebody and win a game.
They could go on the Eagles run like 2 years ago,
right?
And they could steamroll with the team that they have,
right?
Or they can just hit a hard
stop.
They hit the Packers first round, or they hit the Saints in the second round, and you just go, there's no
way we can go through both of that gauntlet of a time.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Number 7, I have the Seattle Seahawks. I still think their defense. I know. I was hurt putting this down here.
Wow, that blew me out of my chair.
If Russell Wilson wasn't playing as good as he is, MVP like caliber, they're probably an 8-8 team or less.
Yeah.
Unfortunately to say.
Whoa.
And their defense is not very good. They let up 30 plus points games, and they let up 38 against the Cincinnati Bengals. You just score 40 and you can win. It's
playing Oklahoma ball.
Yeah. So Seattle's at 7 for me, but I think they have a really good chance of getting there. But they're at 7.
Sure. Yeah, let me keep going here. I'm
Number 6, I have the Packers just slightly above because I think their defense is just slightly better, and I think their offense is better.
See, that's where I would, in my opinion, I would flip those, and here's why. Aaron Rodgers ain't playing like Aaron Rodgers anymore.
Yeah, but
he has not been effective.
See, he's not been super effective.
Yeah.
But the reason I think their defense.
Their defense is not bad. It's much improved.
If I put both of them against the Saints, I go, I need that one stop. I'm like Packers. I give you just a slight edge over Seattle.
Yeah, I'm interested to see too. That's interesting.
So Packers at 6.
Yeah. That's weird. That's fine. I'm sorry. I'm still floored that you put Seattle as low as you did.
I know. I was sad.
For the folks who are just tuning in for the first time, first off, welcome to the show. But second of all, Mike is a big Russell Wilson guy. He's a big Seattle Seahawks fan. So the fact that he is putting them at the middle of the pack there goes to show you that there ain't no bias here, folks.
No.
On the I'm Always Ready Sports.
That was my one where I was like, no, I know this is not bias.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
Number 5, I have the New England Patriots. I think their offense is just flat right now, but I can never go against their defense. Can really just keep them in any kind of game. You watch the Kansas City game or the Texans game, their offense can't move the ball at all, but it's a close game at the end because their defense gets a block punt, or gets a pick 6, or gets something to keep them in it. And I do think when the playoffs start, you have that first home game probably against Kansas City, where I think that's the game. If you're gonna lose to Kansas City this year.
Yeah. It's gonna be.
I think that's gonna be a game, and then you go to Baltimore most likely. Ooh. So I think that's gonna be a tough gauntlet of games.
Yeah, no, it's New England, man. That's the playoff switch turns on. Yeah. It's like, oh, here we go. And so I'm very interested.
I'm interested to see
their first round matchup or their first matchup that they have, the first game,
will be the Chiefs.
Yeah, then that game right there, that's gonna tell you if they manage to beat the Chiefs. I think that I think they're set up well.
Yeah. And so number 4, the Chiefs.
Yeah.
I think their offense is super explosive. You got Tyreek Hill.
It almost makes up for the fact that their defense is so bad.
Yeah. It's the Oklahoma for me of the NFL, where their defense is like middle of the pack less or something.
Yeah.
They're playing better than they were last year, but their offense is just so good that you'll score 43, and if your defense could just hold them, get 1 or 2 stops, there you go. Yep. That's the key formula to win. The Chiefs just slightly above because their offense is that good.
Yeah, their offense is
number 3, I have the 49ers. I think their defense, their front 7 is just so ridiculous, phenomenal.
And it allows then their secondary, which is good, right? Sherman's playing out of his mind, but allows their defensive secondary to go crazy.
Yes.
Because they can go press man and let their safeties roam and jack up some tight ends, and they're destroying everybody.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because they're pressing so hard. It's like even if they get separation, there's Bosa or Buckner or Armstead or Solomon Thomas or whoever is there. It's crazy to me.
Yeah, they're kind of in a boat where I don't really trust them. Like I don't really trust the Vikings with Garoppolo there, but your run game is so efficient, and even if you have to go on the road, you have your defense that can keep you in the game.
That's the team where you go, wow, they went 12-4, they lose in the first round. That's that team for me. I'm a Niner guy, but I don't get the love for Garoppolo in the slightest. So if there's a hole of that team, it's a massive one. It's Garoppolo beating me.
Yeah.
Stop the run. Right? Stop the quick slant game, right? The West Coast type of offense, right? Force the Niners to beat me over the top. And it sounds easy when I just say it out loud. Obviously, there's more to it. But force them to do those sorts of things, get them uncomfortable, you got a great shot to beat the Niners, even if it's close.
Number 2, I have the Ravens.
Yep.
Lamar Jackson's playing.
Number 2?
They're playing. Lamar Jackson's playing out of his mind. He throws just enough to
make
keep you honest.
Keep you honest.
While he's going to run the read option right down your throat, and that defense is pretty legit. They can go against the Chiefs, against some of the best offenses, and at least slow them down enough to make sure you have a lead and maintain.
This is why you see Seattle, though. They are hurting so bad without Thomas right now that it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
That's a guy where you just go, oh man, if they'd had him, that you'd
exactly
some of those issues. And Baltimore is a representation of that. Where name me every guy in their secondary, you can't do it, right? But they're playing really good fundamental football. They're containing the stop and the run, making teams one dimensional. And with a guy like that in the back, you're just really able to control everybody.
Yep. So if you guys have been paying attention, my number 1 is the New Orleans Saints. Woo! I think they're probably the most complete team going into this playoffs. Breeze has got his
fire right now.
Yeah, he's on super fire, 29 for 30 in this last game.
Michael Thomas is in the MVP race. He ain't gonna win. Spoiler alert. But the fact that he's talked about.
Alvin Kamara is one of the best running backs in the league, and that defense is just so stout and just so good that I think they're the most complete team. And they're like the Clemson for me, where I go, what's the hole? You go, tight end. Like there's not a lot of. Oh yeah, that's the hole for this team.
Right.
So absolutely. I think the Saints are the most complete team.
Right, absolutely. Yeah. Sorry guys too, if you guys are noticing, we just came back on the YouTube. You won't notice, but on our recording, if you notice, we kind of skip sentences there. Our recording software kind of froze up on us a little bit. So. We're okay. No, we got the ranking part. That's fine. We just went in a little bit of your analysis, but you're right though. With the Saints being as a complete team as they have, and there was a little bit of concern there, right? Breeze, when he first came back from the injury, he was like. He was okay. He wasn't great, but he was okay. And the last couple of games really coming to his own. I think he's got 9 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. He's playing out of his mind. The great rankings on Mike. Great job. I like that. It's funny though. We nitpick these teams so much, but at the same time, it's slimmest of margins.
Honestly,
a good chunk of
after the Vikings, when I hit Seattle, I hit Packers. You have 49. All these teams are just like you might have that one thing that differentiates you, and it's really tough to pull a difference out.
All right, let's switch now from the gridiron to the hardwood. Let's go and talk some NBA basketball. We got some big time matchups on Christmas Day, Mike. What matchups do we got going on actual day of?
So you have something like Celtics, Raptors, Bucks, 49ers, Rockets, Warriors.
Bucks 76ers, right?
Bucks 76ers, yeah.
Okay.
Rockets, Warriors, that was before all the injuries happened. The big one, the Clippers and the Lakers, probably the fight for the West, and then you have the Pelicans and the Nuggets.
Right, so we got some big time matchups here going on. Let's zero in here. We got a lot of these are playoff caliber matchups, right? If you are a fan of these teams, right? Obviously, if you're a Pistons fan, you're kind of just waiting for things to get healthy. Hopefully, they make it in time to actually make a run here.
Yeah.
But if you're a fan, if you're a Laker fan, you're a Clipper fan, you're a Nuggets, you're a whatever fan, right? And what are you looking for? Because we've always said on this show, Christmas is the time where you're kind of all right, this is the barometer. By Christmas, if we're kind of in it, we got a shot, right, of making the playoffs, if nothing else, right? Mm-hmm. Or, in the case of last year where the Lakers were really good, and then all of a sudden, right around this time, LeBron gets hurt, and now all of a sudden they fall off the face of the earth.
He got hurt.
Right, so that's what I'm saying. So you kind of see the change where this is kind of like, it's not midway through the season, but it might as well be. Like, kind of this is where we're at. If you are a fan of this team, what do you want of any of these teams? What do you want to see? I mean, does it matter win or loss to you? Is it more like, okay, record-wise, is it just more of a big picture for you kind of thing, or do you reading hard into these games? Like if the Lakers lose again to the Clippers, let's just say, right? Yeah. LeBron's probably not going to play because of that strain in the midsection area. Possibly he's 1,000 now. You know what I mean? Does it matter to you at all if you're a Laker fan? Or same thing the other way around, Clippers lose. Same thing if the Bucks sort of lose to the 76ers. Is any that you're reading into any of this right now because you're kind of really in the meat of the season now?
See, I don't read too far into it as a too big to be said basketball fan here. Only because it's just the one game, and when you get to playoff time, it's a series. You've already played, like, the Bucks are 26-4. If you lose to the Sixers on the road, like, okay, you lost to the Sixers on the road. We'll just bounce back the next 4 games and win, or whatever. So I don't look at that. You just have to... These are prime time games. These are the TNT. They're playing on ABC. These are the games that everyone's going to be tuning in to watch because it's Christmas. It's one of the 3 big days of the year for the NBA.
Right.
So these are the days where, like, I haven't watched a lot of Lakers games. I wonder what all the fuss is about. This is the game where you have to go out and be like, yeah, this is why everyone's talking about us, kind of thing. Like, put you on the map. Like, if you're the Nuggets, probably no one's really like, oh my god, Jokic, he's a monster. Like, no one really says that unless you're in Denver. So that's the primetime game where you go, okay, this is Jokic. I've now seen him, and now I can go back in 3 months when they're on TNT playing the Warriors or the Lakers or something. You go, I remember watching Jokic a couple months ago, and like, so you can. This is like putting you on the map if you were. Basketball fan.
Absolutely, no, and I think that this is a fun time too because we've talked about this ad nauseum where the wealth of talent that has been spread across the NBA is never been higher. You know what I mean? So the fact that we get to see these kinds of matchups right now, absolutely super exciting. Let's talk about the Pistons here for just a second. If you're a Pistons fan, I mean, are you nervous at all about where this team is at going into this Christmas break period? I mean, where are they at in the East right now, dare I ask?
They are 10th.
10th? Jeez.
They are 11 and 19.
Are they 10 or 11?
They're 10.
They're 10? No, 8, 9, 10, 11. Oh, okay, yeah. 10, 11 doesn't matter.
Yeah.
11. So, I mean, you're 11th in the East, right? You haven't been healthy all year. For the most part, right? Blake's out. I know D Rose is putting up his mind. He's putting up MVP like numbers when he won the MVP. Did you see that? Have you seen that graphic? He's got better numbers this year than he did his MVP season. He's got better numbers than he has right now, which is actually crazy. So, but he's the only guy putting up numbers, unfortunately. If you're a Pistons fan, what are you looking forward to as we kind of get through Christmas break and then back on? Is it just strictly a health thing where like we kind of see this team at 100% before you can make any real assumptions about what they are? Are they still a playoff team in your mind?
They are a low caliber, probably first round exit playoff team.
Yeah.
They're only a game and a half behind the 8th seed.
Right.
So you're not
out of it.
No, you're not like Atlanta sitting at 6-24. Like you're so far out of it that you're like, okay, this is not a playoff team anymore.
Yeah, right.
Like you're still in the hunt, but you're slowly getting out of the hunt, and you need to get back in as soon as possible.
Right. Losing games like they did a couple days ago to the Bulls, that
stuff can't happen. Like you should be able, with the talent that you have, to be able to beat teams like Chicago, like Cleveland, like New York, you know, like Golden State right now, like New Orleans. Like those are the teams that you like. We can go into and beat those teams because we have Blake Griffin, Andre Drummond, and Derrick Rose should be able to get us over that hump.
Right. Yeah. I think it's we really need to see what happened. You okay?
I mean, I'm not okay, but like
news or anything?
No,
okay.
Nothing too big.
Oh, okay, all right, you got excited, but
I do get excited. But it's not basketball.
But you definitely want to see. I wanted to see this team healthy, right? You need Reggie back. You're going to need Blake back, right? You know, it's just one of those things to where I think you have quite a bit of talent on this team. They're not a championship contender, but you know, I want to get out of let's just hope to make the playoffs, and hey, maybe let's actually make a little something happen here. You know, win a freaking game, you know.
Yeah, we talk about the Lions winning game, but you only have like the one game every year.
Yeah.
Like you have
four shots.
Yeah, you have like 4 shots to beat the Cavs or the Bucks in the last like 5 years.
Yeah.
And you're literally 0-8 in playoff games.
Yeah. And the year before that when they had Michael Curry as coach, that 1 year where it was like the last remnants of like they got swept that year too. So rough go for the Pistons, but hopefully they get healthy and we'll go on. All right, let's switch now from the hardwood to squared circle. Let's talk some AEW for a second here. NXT winning the Wednesday Night War this past week. If you hadn't watched, I highly recommend you watch NXT. It had a pretty damn good show, especially the opener.
Don't watch AEW though.
AEW is a rough watch this week. But I want to talk about AEW for a couple of reasons. Number one, we saw the Young Bucks deactivate their Twitters, which I thought was somewhat interesting. Due to the negativity, they're trying to get away from some of that, it looks like. And then also I want to talk about, has the are people finally, is the shine is officially off, clearly, right? There's no more like, oh, it's new, it's hot, it's fresh, it's exciting. It's just now AEW exists, right?
Yeah.
We're a couple pay-per-views in, the next one's going to Chicago, which if you are going to be in Chicago February 29th at AEW, look for the two of us because we will be there as well. But point being is that, are you concerned at all, if you are Tony Khan, VPs, Bucks, Cody, whoever, right, about the amount of criticism that you guys have been facing the past couple weeks? Because they're getting WWE treatment right now. It's finally like, before it's like, oh, you're like this cool thing, and now it's like, oh no, you're just another WWE. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And to be honest with you, you're losing to WWE right now. So with that being said, are you nervous, concerned at all? Because I wouldn't say I'm necessarily nervous, but I'm not thrilled this early on.
Oh, no. I mean, I haven't enjoyed an AEW show in like 3 or 4 weeks.
Yeah.
And I think there's just a multitude of problems that they have with the show. And it's more, I want to say it's like, there's like, I would say like the big one is almost like Chris Jericho, but not with the work he's doing, but the way they book him. I guess it's booking. Yeah. I guess in one big circle that you can put it in, it's booking.
Yeah.
Because when you watch the show and you're comparative to another show, so on NXT they are like, oh, we have Finn Balor, Adam Cole, NXT Championship. You go, you don't really know who's going to win that match. Mm-hmm. So I got to go watch it to see who wins.
Right,
I almost put no spoilers on to watch it the next day, so I could like make sure like I watch it. But I actually watched NXT instead of AEW.
Yes,
so
I did. Yeah, you too.
But then AEW goes, oh, but we have Chris Jericho and Jungle Boy, and I go, so there's a 0% chance that's going to change, and like maybe a 55-45 that Cole loses the title.
Right.
I'm going to go watch him, see if he loses it. There's no chance you're going to lose it, then why waste the time watching that?
Right.
So I think it's just all these different booking decisions of, it just doesn't...
I think AEW is suffering from quite a few different syndromes. I think they're suffering from the fact that they're the first company in a long time just to acquire every big name that was out there that wasn't under the WWE brand. Mm-hmm. They went, hey, come on over. Yeah. Right, you know what I mean? It was Kenny, it's Cody, it's the Bucks, it's this, it's this, it's this, it's this guy, it's this guy, this guy, this guy, whoever it is, right? And then it's cool. But once you get out of, and we said this before, once you get out of the, and that's the thing, people give WWE so much crap for doing the same booking over and over and over again. How many times have we seen Pac versus Adam Page? At least 3 times. Yeah. At least 3. They've been in existence for what? 2 months?
Yeah.
And we've seen it 3 times already, right? How many times have you seen Jimmy Havoc on TV?
Yeah, not a lot.
Right. But that's my point, right? Is that once you get done with the fantasy matchups, Kenny versus Moxley. Gotta go see it. Cool. Mm-hmm. Gotta see Cody versus Jericho again. Cody can't jump to... Okay, done. I gotta see this. I gotta see that. After that, there has to be something to keep me coming back. And right now, I don't think we're getting that from AEW as much as from NXT. Now, let's not be clear. NXT show, it was good. It wasn't great. I thought they had a really good start and a really good ending. That women's match was pretty darn good.
Yeah.
Everything in the middle, meh.
That's every NXT
show. Yeah, but every NXT show. Right, exactly. But with AEW, you're supposed to be front-loading this card. Like, I thought that show ended so flat last week with that tag title match. They've been unable to create new stars. The Dark Order, been a disaster. So far, they're trying to repurpose and repackage a little bit. It's been rough. You've had Blade and the Butcher. You have no faces in the company right now, by the way. I don't know if anybody notices that. You have the Inner Circle. They're bad guys. Moxley, he's not a good guy, right? Hangman, they're going to flip pretty soon. So you got Kenny, the Bucks, and Cody.
Yep.
And that's it. Everybody else is a flipping jobber.
And one of them can't even challenge for a title.
And one of them can't challenge for the world title anymore. So, where are we at here?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like I think they're realizing very early that it's no longer the ability to just go and say, hey, we're going to put on this awesome card for one night only, and say, hey, we're going to put on the best wrestling you've seen all year, and that's cool. But now you got to do it every week.
Yeah.
And you're having difficulty. The fact that Jericho is wrestling as much as he is too should not be a thing. He's the world champion. If that title means as much as it's supposed to, he should not wrestle every week. I would pay to see Chris Jericho twice a month rather than 5 times a month, because I'd rather see Jericho once on an AEW show, right, a tag match against his challenger for the title, and then in the title match. Everything else that he should be talking and managing other guys. Jake Hager hasn't wrestled a match yet. You know, where's Santana and Ortiz? Where's Guevara taking the fall every single night? Well, you know, there's certain things, and you're just like, where's it at?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, at some point, you're going to have to give more than just the fantasy booking matchup, the dream contest. Because at some point, fans are going to go, what are the stakes? Why do I care? What is making me want to watch you instead of somebody else? Because WWE is, for as much crap as they get, some of it deserved, some of it maybe not so much. But the point being is that at least they are going and acknowledging the fact, hey, listen, we're the only game in town you're going to watch and you're not going to watch, right? Now there's a new game. They're giving you something that you want. They're giving you something different. You want to see Balor back in NXT? He's there, right? You want to see Seth Rollins turn heel? He's there. You want to see this or that or like that? They're trying to. Outside of the long on Bobby Lashley thing, that thing's stupid. Everything else, though, for the most part, they're at least trying to give you something to say, hey, you wanted it? Go.
Yeah.
Right? Where you at, AEW? You know what I mean? I'll continue to watch because I'm a fan of what you do. The in-ring work is not the problem. I'll tell you that. It's not the in-ring work.
Not.
But give me a reason outside of, all right, Kenny and Hangman are having an argument. Give me a reason. Because right now, I don't have one. And neither does Mike and neither does anybody else. And that's why you've seen a dramatic decrease. Everyone's seen a decrease. Raw, SmackDown, NXT, AEW. But you've seen a massive dip in AEW's viewership. And I think that's a huge problem for them. So obviously something to definitely keep mind of as we go through into the new year. As this is going to be probably our Christmas episode, we want to take the time right now as we wrap up the show to say Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays to everybody who watches and listens to the show. We really appreciate the support. As we go into 2020, let's make sure to make this the biggest year for the I'm Always Right Sports Podcast. If you're not already on our contact list, please go to the I'mAlwaysRight.com website. It's on our SoundCloud pages, it's on our Facebook pages, all that good stuff. I'mAlwaysRightPC.com. Make sure to shoot us an email, IARBroadcastmedia@gmail.com, if you want to stay up to date with all of the happenings going on, where we're going to be at potential wrestling or sporting event shows. Let us know and we'll kind of find you guys. You can find us. We'll take pictures and all that good stuff. Anything else that you guys could possibly ask for. If you want to submit a topic, hit us up on the website. If you want to be on the show and call in, let us know. You may be that lucky day where we have you on. We've had Ellie on, an Ohio State fan. We've had other people on the show before. We'd love to do business with you. If you have a product, if you have a business you want to advertise on the show like our buddy Nick does with his realty, please give me a call. Please give Mike a call. Hit us up on Twitter, Facebook, all that good stuff. Once again, on behalf of Mike, the Missing Whale Man, the Brain, everybody here at the I'm Always Right Sports Podcast, have a Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and we will see you guys, as always, next time.